Hey, Brian Losey here. Today we are on a shallow water panfish bite, bluegill and crappie, and whoever knows what else. I mean, this is a lottery lake, multitude of species that we could catch in this lake. So stay tuned while we show you some tips, tricks, and techniques to put more fish on the ice with Priority One Fishing. We're all set up. Let's talk about what we're going to do today. So we're going to talk about how to target shallow water panfish, what lure selections to use, line selections, even the rod and the reel combos that I'm using here. So we're on a body of water that's a relatively featureless lake. I mean, this lake is as shallow as it is. I mean, some of the deepest spots in the lake don't even exceed 12 feet. So we're looking for these little depressions, these little kind of holes, these little cutouts, I guess you could say, that are going to hold these fish. Now we're up in about 5.8 feet of water according to the Vexler, and we're right on the edge of a channel that's coming out from a spring. And in this area, that tends to draw fish in here because everything else around the lake is relatively flat and the same, and it's the only thing that is different. So sometimes these basins, if you have a body of water near you that have shallow water flats like this, you can find these panfish early in the ice season up in these areas like this. Now, bluebird skies are not going to help us, but we're going to give it a shot. Now, anytime you have really bright sunny conditions like this, and well, the lake that I'm fishing has a relatively stained kind of particulated water, I'm going to use an attractor jig. Now, what we're doing is we're putting on a silky, kind of the craze of the industry right now, this little plastic silk hybrid that was created by Clam Pro Tackle, kind of the brainchild of Dave Gens. This little bait is just catching fish all over the place. Now, the silk strands actually get really soft, really undulate in the water, pulse in the water. Now, you've heard us talk a lot about cadence and creating those living fibers, looking for those living fiber plastics, living fiber lures, those baits that you don't have to apply a lot of action to get a lot of result out of the bait. Now, they're great neutral to negative presentations because you can dead stick with these. You can let the current and the convection in the water do the work for you, or you can fish them fast. So as a bait goes, I'm always going to assume that the fish are neutral until they prove me different. And if they are aggressive, I can fish this bait a little quicker. Now, for panfish in general, it is a little bit larger profile for the size of fish that we are targeting, but it's an attractor. It's something I'm just trying to get the fish in the zone first. Then I'm going to figure out how to trigger them. Now, the silky will often do that for me. I won't have to change anything up, but it will call the fish in nonetheless. So let's get started. I'm going to put a couple of spikes on this silky. You can see I just tagged it on a small tungsten. It's got a little kind of a silicone ball that I just slide the hook point right through, slide it up onto the hook shank, and a small little 3mm tungsten teardrop jig here. Now, because of the stained and murky conditions, I'm using some darker colors. The silky I've chosen is a red and white silky because that red in this lake really shows up, really pops against the particulate and the coloration that you have in the water. And then kind of a dark backed tungsten head, so a dark green color. And we're going to see if that does the trick. Often I'll go completely opposite too. If I'm not using a dark color in this type of condition, I'm going to use a brass, a metallic, a copper, a silver, something that can really call the fish, get their attention, get them into the zone, and then we'll kind of see what the strike looks like today. So let's get started. I'm going to throw a couple of spikes on here, and we're going to see if we can catch a few fish. I think I've seen a couple of fish come in on the graph already down close to the bottom, so there's a chance we could have some perch just sliding through here also. Now, the rod and reel we're using, as you can see, and for a presentation for perch, panfish, crappie, bluegill, all those species, inline reels are phenomenal. This is the Clam Gravity Elite. It's a 3.6-to-1 gear ratio, so you can keep up even with those bigger fish if you're targeting trout with it, fish that change direction rapidly. And I'm using a Dave Gens Legacy 30-inch noodle rod. Noodle rod has a very soft tip section on it. As you can see, I mean, that's going to load up very, very easily, and those fish are not going to feel that tension until I want them to feel the tension. And then we're coupling that with some 4-pound Frost fluorocarbon. 4 pound, yeah, it's a little heavy for what I'm using or targeting generally. Panfish this size in here, you could get away with 2-pound test, even 1-pound test. But that 4-pound test is going to give me some opportunities to potentially catch some bigger fish if we do have those fish come through. There are some pike in here, there are some walleye in here, there's some white bass that are pretty aggressive. They really put up a tussle when you hook into them. So notice that rod. Let's go back to the rod here real quick again. That quick tip section that you have, as it loads up, it quickly goes into the backbone of the pole, which means when I need to set that hook, the motion to set the hook is 3-4 inches, and I'm right into the backbone of the rod. I don't have to do this crazy, ripping hook set that you see a lot of people have, do when they're trying to get that hook to drive into the fish. So let's get it started. Let's see what we can find. Okay, we talked about earlier that I'll go dark colors or I'll go metallics when we've got bluebird skies like this. And we went to a little metallic 2.5 millimeter gold tungsten. Let's see if we can get one to respond to it. Got him. What we got here? Look at that. Now there is a pretty nice bluegill. Look at that. I'll take one of those any day. That's what we're targeting out here. So shallow water panfish. That's our first decent bluegill. What a nice fish. Nice fish. He came in pretty hot. He actually kind of moved in off the bottom, but he hit it about 2.5, 3 feet from the bottom. So, I mean, they're covering the water column pretty good. Let's see if there's a trend going on here. So it just switched up to that metallic tungsten with a couple of spikes on it. About a 2.5 millimeter gold tungsten. And this bluebird sky, almost no snow. I mean, this is just a skiff on the lake itself. Lots of lights going through this ice cap, and it's really illuminating all the particulate down underneath. So it's not making it easy, for one. Shadows, this fish are kind of spooky. So you gotta be really quiet on the ice. We don't want to move around and cause a lot of commotion. But it also is illuminating and reflecting off of that particulate in the water column. So everything looks like food. Whoop, there's one. Come in. Is he on it? He might. Everything looks like food. So, what makes it stand out? I'm just kind of playing with the light a little bit, using the sunlight. Hopefully to gain a little bit of an advantage over everything in the water column that looks like food. There he is. All right. What we got here? Might be a fish of the toothy variety. It's big. It is big, whatever it is. It's easy. 4-pound test pike. Let's see to find out. It very well could be. Pretty heavy. So it's either a pike or a carp. smooth that drag is. Gravity Elite. Yep. And we just caught another pike on the tip up. Hopefully that one stays up on there. You believe that? If this is a pike, and that is a pike, yeah, there's definitely a pike on the tip up. Definitely a pike on the tip up. Fish. I don't think I was that far over there with this line. Look at that. Let's see how long of a battle this is going to be. Oh, this fish is heavy. It's a pike. It's a big pike. You're unable to see him yet. I'm in 5 feet, 9 inches of water. And I still am not seeing this fish. Test line. 30-inch legacy noodle rod. People shooting out there. Dang it. The way he's angling, it is really acting like a pike. It's a tiny tungsten jig too. Tiny tungsten jig. Find out if this guy can fit through the hole. Okay. It's nice and easy. Hopefully he does not throw the hook. There's a very good chance that he will throw the hook. Retrieve ratio on this reel is really helping me out. Oh, are we gonna see him? Hard thing, you can't power down a pike in a hurry. Then they regain their energy. See? Just like that. They're very fast twitch muscle fiber fish. They don't have a lot of endurance. Whoa. They do have some really good burst speed. Hold on to this rod. Nope. This outfit definitely is not built for this. Come on. Ooh, I'm just rubbing that edge. This frost fluorocarbon line. I'll tell you, 4-pound test line. Whoa. That other one's still on that one. Whatever this is big. Big, big, big. Oh, there's bubbles. It is a giant carp. Giant carp. Look at that. Oh my hell. Look at that. Now if that isn't a testament to a 30-inch noodle rod, 4-pound test line, Clam Gravity Elite Reel, I don't know what is. Look at that. And I think I see my tip-up line. So, good chance that wasn't a pike over there. I think it's got to be going 12 to 15 pounds. Close to that. Now that is something. Yeah, that's definitely my tip-up line. So my tip-up's like 30 feet that way too, easily. All right, let's see if we can catch some other ones. There he is. He makes all the difference in the world. Just subtle, subtle differences here. Little changes. Don't make big moves. I mean, that's a key too. You don't have to run all over the place. Oh, looks like we got that spike. Fine fish. Sometimes you just have to wait for those patterns to work out for you. And in this area that we're in, these little cyclic patterns, little cyclic movements every 5 to 10 minutes, having fish come in, really pays off just to sit still. Don't want to create a lot of noise on the ice when you're moving around in 5-6 feet of water, because they can hear every move you make. There we go. There we go. Just working our way through these small crappie. Whoa, that was a surprise. You hear of common strategies for chasing bluegill and crappie. Would be to drill a lot of holes, move frequently, try to stay on top of the schools as they roam, because they are really nomadic fish. I mean, they tend to just scour basins and just really work a large area. And in this scenario, we can't do that. I mean, we're the bright bluebird skies. At least it wouldn't be proficient for us to do that. Might hinder our ability to catch fish because of how shallow it is and how bright and how much sunlight is coming through the ice cap. So we're just hunkering down. We're just waiting for the schools to rotate. When you get into positions where you have to use that type of a technique, it's important to make sure you find those locations where you've got slight depressions, where you've got those subtle differences in bottom content that will consistently drive those fish to rotate or cycle through those areas. That way it will make those cyclic patterns a bit smaller, time frame wise. You don't have to sit there and wait for 45 minutes between groups of fish coming through. And when the fish do come through, they tend to come through that area like going through an hourglass to get from point A to point B, and they have to cross that position that you're sitting in. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. We're kind of holding tight on just a couple of holes just to see if we can get these fish to cycle through, and that seems to be working. We are seeing consistent schools of fish coming through. Hold on, fish on the graph. They're just a little inactive, which is okay. Sometimes it takes that. You just gotta buckle down, hammer it out, go to the smallest tungsten you can find, go to just an individual spike. We haven't gone that far yet, but I've thought about it. Thought about going down to just as small and as micro as I possibly can to see if I can get these fish just to respond to it. There he is. Look at that. He just come in and sat on it. Little crappie. Hopefully we get those bigger ones coming in. But nonetheless, beautiful little fish. You can see the sunlight on his fins. There he is. Hey, that's pretty quick. These confident leeches. All right, we're gonna call it a day as the sun is going down behind my back here, and what a solid day at that, man. We caught some bluegill, we caught some crappie, shallow water panfish bite was on today. We had to be a little stealthy, move around quietly, tried a couple of different locations relatively close together in the bay, and we found a few fish. And some of those subtleties can really make a difference when you're targeting those fish. Don't pass up even a 1 foot drop. And in this case, we only had about 6 inch difference, 7 inch difference, and you can catch some fish. So if you have a chance to get out on that shallow water, get out there, catch those panfish. This is Brian Lose with Priority One Fishing. Tight lines.